the future of Nigeria's workforce and economic growth hangs in the balance. Also, results from the WAEC is revealing a troubling decline in student performances across Nigeria. And it's time we ask a very, very important question. And this is not just about the classroom, but about our economy as well. What's the cost of under education to national development, and how does a broken system limit future productivity and economic growth? Good morning and welcome to the Economy on Wish 99.5 FM. My name is Antonia Asabil, and today we are going to talk about the decline in our educational sector. Obviously, I'm not doing this alone. I have in the studio with me today Samuel Woji. He's an educationist and a man with many titles under his belt. I will leave the introduction to him. Good morning, Samuel.
Good morning, Antonio. It's great to be here once again.
Always a pleasure to have you, although your busy schedule does not allow you to come to the studio often enough.
If there's any opportunity to share my bits or contribute my quota to national development, I think I'm always available. I'm always up for it.
That's very, very important. National development is very, very much important. Samuel, how did you feel about the latest WAEC results when it was released?
Well, if you're complaining about the latest WAEC results, then you should wait till you see the jump.
At least one after the other. Let's first come to terms with the WAEC, then we can think about the jump and whatever else is in store.
Well, it's obvious, that the WAEC results we are getting recently was not, or is not the WAEC results we have had over the years. I believe that during that time it was more fair. The percentage of students that passed WAEC as of that time was more fair than what we are seeing today. And it's troubling, it's concerning that we are going backwards, or the next generation is going backwards as regards interest in education. Because I think that the major reason for these declining results has to do with disinterest in education. That's what I think anyway. The youths or the next generation disinterest in education, and I feel that that's an issue that we should tackle, early enough, because the next generation that's coming, I want to those are the generation that will take care of the generation that we will produce. So there's a need for
I like that. The ones we will produce.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Since we have plans of moving abroad and getting there, I don't have such plans for now. I'm a patriot. I'm a nationalist. So I've had zero intentions of moving outside the country. I've heard of us. I have a family, in Canada. I have family in London, and they have invited me to, consider moving out. But like I said, I have a deep love for my country, Nigeria, and as long as I drop it, I'll contribute my quota to ensure that it's developed or it's better than where I found it. So it's troubling, really. It's troubling, and it's cause for national concern. That's just what I have to say. That's what I feel about the results.
It is troubling. It is troubling because, like you mentioned, it keeps declining.
Yeah.
And right now, this particular result is like one of the worst we've ever had in decades. So does that mean that we're going to keep nose diving, or is there hope for the future? And what can be done about it? You did mention that the interest in school or education is also waning. Now that begs the question, why is that? Why is it that kids of today no longer have an interest in education? What could be so important or more important than education that they don't feel the need to input more into the educational background, put more effort into developing themselves mentally? What could be the reason why?
Well, Aristotle said the mind is a blank slate, and all the actions or behavioral patterns that a child at best will later acquire in life is due to his environment. So I think the problem first, there are so many problems, so many challenges to this.
Yeah, but let's start with the interest. Why is students' interest in education waning? What could be so important outside education?
I think the major problem is what they see. It seems like now in recent times, and the people delve into deviant behaviors to earn a living and making it big, while those of them that focus on the right paths or more traditional models of getting a living are being disrespected in the public space.
Mm.
If you ask these kids of today, you find out that most of the traditional modes of employment or workforce, the traditional workforce or the formal sector, if you ask me, most of them are disinterested in, applying in that area. I don't think you get a fair percentage of these kids that wants to be teachers.
Mm.
I don't think so. So you could see that the reason why the disinterest is on the increase is because of the fact that they are seeing that those of them who delve into, crime in a bid to earn a living are making it big. The fraudsters, Yahoo is the crave. It's true now. We have to tell ourselves the truth as a country. It seems fraud is everything these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as such, these kids, they want to drive good cars, they want to have good houses, they want to wear good clothes, and they're saying that it seems like these guys are the ones making it. So you see that their interests, are geared towards this direction because the people they come up seeing making it are this set of people, and at a very young age, funny enough. So I think that that's one of the issues we are facing as a society. Before we now move to institutional issues, such as lack of proper teacher welfare, outdated curriculum, and of course infrastructural, issues such as bad hostels, unclean environments, and the rest of it. So these are, I think, are the issues that has prompted disinterest in education. Chief among them is what these students are saying. That's it.
All right, so let me a little bit of background. The West African Examinations Council has officially released the results of the May-June 2025 West African Senior School Certificate Examination. The release has sparked nationwide reaction among students, parents, educators, and policymakers, and not for good reasons. 1. Only 38% of candidates passed with credits in 5 core subjects, including English and mathematics. Over 1.6 million students registered, and then from both public and private schools across Nigeria registered for the exams. However, there was a mass failure, especially in English and mathematics. Now, before, you notice that maybe the sub-subjects were not being given much importance, but the core subjects, English, math, science, were given like major attention. You want to make sure that at least, even if your elective subjects, you're not doing so well, you're getting a C or whatever, but these core subjects, because they are going to determine what kind of school you're going to attend, or even if you're going to go to school. But this year, there was a mass failure in English and mathematics. Of all the subjects, I can understand chemistry, I can understand religious studies, but math, mathematics, science, these are like the backbone of every educational system. And for us to have a mass failure in these subjects, what could be the problem?
Well, I think that one of the issues that is being faced with students, especially as regards these subjects, is the fact that apart from the traditional means of learning, these kids really have no other viable means to learn these subjects. Now, where I'm coming from is the fact that, let's say civic education is basically societal issues as well as current affairs. Yeah, you can get that from the internet. These kids are always on their phones. You understand? So they are familiar with such knowledge. It just comes up, it just pops up, in the course of them scrolling up and all that. When it comes to courses like mathematics, you have to sit down, you have to
and be intentional.
You have to be intentional about learning it. You understand? And if you miss a single formula, there are steps to it. If you miss a step, you've lost it. You understand? And for you to get it, you have to start all over again. You have to follow. There's a process to things like that. You have to follow it thoroughly. Now, English, the best way to increase your vocabulary or have a good command of English language is simply by reading books. And these kids don't read. That's the truth. They don't read. They prefer scrolling on their phones and whatnot. They hardly read. It gets me. So I think that's one of the factors that has affected, the percentage of students doing so well in these two subjects.
But one would think that with the access of internet and technology, it will be easier, especially when it comes to reading. We have Kindle, we have Apple Books. Most of these children have iPads, they have phones, they have tablets. So, won't one say that, oh, that is really going to make the reading easier than having like a traditional book that you feel, oh, it's going to make my bag heavy. So I can't be carrying different books all the time. I can basically have all of my courses in one on my tablet.
You know, when I meant books, I didn't just mean hardcover books.
Yeah.
They don't read. I didn't just,
Exactly. That's what
it was,
it's mind-boggling because if you're always on your phone and you have access to resources that maybe your parents did not have or the ones before them did not have, won't that is that not supposed to like rekindle your desire to learn, to know more, especially in our fast-paced world where knowledge is everything? Why is it that these kids now are so narrow-minded in that field?
I've told you now. When it's just like what I said earlier, it's what they are seeing, right? They don't feel that they don't feel that education or academics is the way. You understand? That will face inside among themselves, school and school. So no matter the access they have to these resources, they don't utilize it. Let me tell you something. There was a period recently, the Middle East has crisis. That if not for the fact that God intervened on time early enough, it would have led to the outbreak of a third world war. The recent crisis between Iran and Israel. And I could tell you that during the period when the crisis was hot, the trending thing on the internet amongst this nation's demographic was a certain content creator. I wouldn't want to mention his name, but I'm sure you know him. He was one trending at that time.
Yeah.
And it's surprising. I mean, this is something that has the capacity to impact your very lifestyle.
Exactly.
You understand? Because if this will escalate and it turns into something uncontrollable, Africa will definitely have to take a standpoint at one point.
Yeah.
Despite our theory of non-alignment. You understand me? Because we depend heavily on the West, for resources. So as such, it's almost logical that we'll align with them at some point. You understand me? And the war will come here, definitely. But these guys were not even interested in the matter so serious as such. They were more interested in a certain content creator. Who does lousy content, by the way? No, I'm serious now.
I know
Yeah, I want to
you're
mention his name,
exactly.
yeah,
I mean, that's not even supposed to be a role model to any child. Even the way he speaks, the way he carries himself, and all that.
But he's making money. He's making money from stupidity. And you're telling these kids to not watch him. This is his lifestyle. This is his clothes. This is his properties. This is his cars. This is his watch. And he even has a side item, that he parades himself with. So their fantasy is that they want to be like him. Not necessarily because they adore the lifestyle, but they're seeing the benefits of being stupid. You understand me? So why would he tell somebody to, read his book when he's saying that this is what he can become? If he tells the part that this person is deifying his story. So you see the problem. Like I said, when I started my statement, I said that the mind is a blank state. You understand? And every our characters, our behavior, our attitude, our values, our norms are shaped by the environment and what we are exposed to. You understand me? So these kids are exposed to people like that, that have made money from stupidity. And you expect them to sit down and read? Come on now.
All right. I don't know you, but I expect them to. Yes, I do expect them to sit down and read. They should sit
down. You need to put yourself in their shoes.
I don't put myself
in their shoes. Because if you are, you understand that these guys want to be successful.
Don't I want to be successful?
No, you are not exposed. Remember, your time as a kid and
now
it's a different world. It's a totally different world. You understand? So you shouldn't compare the level of exposure and maturity you've gathered over the years, to what this. I remember these guys are in their formative stages. They're like, I think 14, 15, 16 is like the formative stage, according to Socrates or so, right? 14 to about 19.
That's the formative.
The behaviors or attitudes that you acquire during that period are what shapes your personality, your perspective towards life in general, as you grow old and die. Except by there are a few cases anyway, once mentality changes. No, there are a few cases.
I know.
Mentality changes across time.
But basically, a few cases.
Yeah, but basically that period is the period that shapes your mentality and your attitude towards life. And these people's mentality or these kids' mentality are being shaped by that individual, as well as other individuals who seem to have made it big, from being a social deviant.
Let's not go there. Let me quickly open the phone lines. The phone is already buzzing. 0813-554-2321. 0813-554-2321. 0912-863-0377. 0912-863-0377. We're talking about the impact of our worsening educational system and how that can affect our economy. And again, this is the Economy on Wish 99.5 FM. My name is Antonia Asabil, and I have in the studio with me an educationalist. He goes by the name of Samuel Woji. So now I'm open to receiving your phone calls now. What could be the reason why kids of today are so disinterested in education? Why? What's taking their time? I understand where someone is coming from. I do get your point, Samuel. School is no longer cool. And now, kids of today, they want what is cool, what's trending. If you're not in the mix, then you don't belong. Everybody wants to belong. Everybody wants to find their footing, especially during their formative years, where they have a perception of how life's supposed to be like. They've seen how society treats the weak or the privilege as well. So everybody has, okay, I don't want to belong to this sect. I want to belong to this sect. But again, we were brought up to know that education is key. Even in our times, in as much as we're not that exposed due to technology, but we're still, we were the text, we started the whole tech form and all that.
At what age?
What? I knew
Let's be clear. You understand? When did Facebook come in? I think I can't remember the precise age, but I think I was in secondary school when the whole Facebook thing was trending. Then we had Facebook, we had to go.
Then Instagram.
Yeah, other social media handles came in. But then I had some level of maturity. You understand? I had some level of maturity.
But when you say secondary school, what do you mean by so? Is it senior secondary school or junior secondary school?
I can't remember, but it should be between I think either SS1 or JS3.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember. But I think that was around the period when the whole Facebook thing was coming on. When I was in primary school, when I was much younger, it was difficult to say phone. Then we had pay phones outlets. You understand? No, it's true that if you want to make call, you understand? Most persons didn't have a phone when I was growing up.
Yeah.
You have to write if you want to call somebody and the person has a phone, you have to write the number down. You go to a payphone. I think it was 20 naira or so to make a call for like a minute or so. I don't know if you remember or you're around during that period. You understand? Sometimes the person you're calling does not even have a phone. What happens is that the person has an outlet. He visits consistently. You have yours. So yes, now. So you call. You call the other guy and tell him, okay, I want to speak to so person. He's your customer. You understand? Let's book a time where he will respond back to me and I'll be available. You'll be available. That's what was working during that period. So imagine going up to that period. So you guys
grew up with the midnight calls and.
We got into midnight calls when we were somewhat more matured.
Okay.
That's the truth. We got into midnight calls when we were somewhat more matured, than these kids. But these kids are growing up with social media.
Yeah.
They're growing up with Facebook.
We can't compare. We can't
compare.
It's a fast-paced world now. I get what you're saying. But what I'm just trying to say is that you will think that, at least in our time, right? In our time, it was a novel something. So we're supposed to be more into it. You understand? Because I do remember, because I used to have my phones. My friends would come, we texted, from schools and all that. You get, so you have to hide it though, because if they catch you with a phone, you're dead. You'll be suspended or something, you'll be punished or something. But what I'm just trying to say is that we had that whole nouveau thing, having a phone is cool. So it's easier to even be distracted. If you're going for...
Sorry, like I said, the background you have, in the period leading to your formative age, and even up to your formative age, shapes your perception for life.
True.
You understand? I can tell you for free, like me, I won't lie, there are some social media handles I don't have the hang on. I'm not even interested.
You mean like social media platforms?
Yes, platforms. I'm not even interested in learning how to. Snapchat, I don't know how to use Snapchat. No, I'm telling you now. I'm a young guy. Yes. I should know how to use it. But I don't know.
That's why it's funny.
Yeah, it's funny, yeah. I don't know. I'm not interested.
Exactly. I was going to come to that. Your interest and maybe the kind of lifestyle you were exposed to. So does that mean that, hold on.
It's about background.
Exactly. So I'm coming to that. So okay. Does that mean that at the end of the day, the home has a lot to do with what's happening now? The kind of time
Look, before you even go after school, yeah, before you even watch television, you touch your gadgets, whatever, you have to, your homework has to be done. You have to read. You eat, you shower, you pick up your, have you done your homework? Before they give you screen time, whether it's TV or phone or whatever it is, that's how we were brought up. So even till now, if I get home, I know the first I want to do, I want to shower, I want to eat before I even think about. Don't tell like if Jonah gets home, it's hard to reach her because I know how to do the important things first before I get all my gadgets. That's how I was trained. Okay, my younger brother, I have nieces and stuff. Same thing. So does that mean that at the end of the day, it's the home, it's the upbringing, it's the kind of lifestyle that we're exposed to? Because you cannot have a strong parent who could be your role model or being exposed to better role models, and then you're saying that somebody like the content creator you are talking about is your role model. In what way? Does that person fit in the context of what the way you were brought up? You're saying maybe you have an older brother who's done his master's PhD. Like for example, Samuel, if you have a younger brother looking up to you, seeing how hard you're working, you're going to school and everything, would such outside influence really matter that much?
See, listen.
Mm.
When we say influence, or when we say environment, right? Environment is not restricted to the home environment, right? And unfortunately, the world is a global village due to the internet.
Yeah.
So the internet or the world in general has formed part of a child's environment. Now, I've seen people under strict parents, right? Their dad is no nonsense, their mom is a disciplinarian and all that. But due to external influences from other factors that their parents cannot control, they didn't turn out so well.
What are those factors that the parents cannot control?
Peer group.
Okay.
Peer group. You're not with your child, no matter how you try to safeguard them. You're not with them 100%.
All the time, yeah, true.
You're not with them all the time. You don't know the kind of things they're exposed to. Even when you tell them, okay, do your homework and all that, and maybe give the person access to free time, to screen time, phone or whatnot, you don't control what he watches. No matter how hard you try. There are still some pockets, there are still some loopholes, some pockets of time where he or she is still to glance at what he wants. Do you understand me? So in as much as here I understand that the home is primary in this sense, you can't really blame the home so much. Do you understand me? You can't really blame the home so much. The issue here is that Nigerians or Africa, our kids are being exposed or overexposed to a technology, that has impacted. Unfortunately, let me be careful with my words anyway. But like I said, one of the issues that we are facing, is this the fast development of technology. You understand, and the way it is being misused by kids of that generation. Yeah, I'm trying to be careful with my words because I understand the implications of what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, the way it is misused by kids of this generation. That's just it. You understand? So instead of only focus on the right thing, they're focusing on the wrong thing. And in as much as their parents or their home will try to encourage them to focus on the right thing, you have to also consider their friends, because you can't really control a child's friends, especially at that age. No matter how hard you try, any parent that tells you that I know my children's friends, I know, it's a lie. There are some friends that they may never want their parents to know about, but has a major role, in deciding what happens in their lives.
True.
You understand? So that's it. You understand me? That's it. And there are certain characters that have come up to, show these kids that there's a lifestyle other than the right path or the societal acceptable lifestyle that has the capacity to make them earn money. You understand me? And these kids unfortunately are watching, they are learning, they are aspiring to be like, such characters. You understand me? And that's why you see that there are so many things. You open your internet, sometimes you see things that are not palatable. You understand? Some things that I've seen things that disgust me, and I'll be like,
what is this?
What's happening? Don't you have people that care about her? Don't you have people that will be ashamed?
Don't you have a family?
Don't you have a family? Don't you have a sister? Don't you have a brother? A dad, a parent that will be ashamed of what you're doing online? You understand me? But I mind my business anyway. But the point is, you shouldn't really, put so much blame
on the family.
You understand? The environment, like I said, the environment takes all the blame. And considering the fact that the technology has made the world, to be an environment. To be an environment, the technology is peculiar. It's global, by definition, or precise to each and everyone's location. That's the problem we are having. You understand me? You can see that a child, okay, imagine a child of 14, 15 years old, exposed to the Western acceptance of LGBTQ.
IA plus IA.
Now, you expect that child not to be interested in such concepts? Because that's a very curious age, when kids want to try everything.
Yeah.
You understand me? You expect that child also to be curious about, let me see how it goes. And if he does it once, he likes it. He does it twice, it forms an addiction. And then 30 years later, you see the child will tell you that's the way he was
raised.
He was raised. No, that's the way he is. That's the way he was created. That's not the way you were created. That's what you are exposed to at a very curious age.
Okay.
And your curiosity prompted you to test that theory. And you tested it, you liked it, you continued in it, and sometimes
it became a part of you.
It's became a part of you. That's not how you were created. That's why you were created.
All right. I can already feel your blood boiling. So let's take a few paces back and then look at the disparities between our public schools and private schools. Because even here, you can see that, once again, students from private secondary schools outperformed those in public schools. This highlights the widening gap in the quality of education between two sectors, mostly due to better teaching, funding, and infrastructure in private institutions. Again, in other climes, right? In other climes, one will say that private schools. So okay, no, it depends though. Samuel, do you think that we have a huge gap in terms of the quality of education being provided for students in private schools and public schools? And what could be the reason why? Because one would think that since public schools are being funded by the government in a sane climate, it should have more funding, it should have a proper structure, because they are going to choose who the screening of teachers, who is going to teach, it's going to be more intense. They will have to choose the best from, the teaching schools or whatever to man and teach these schools. But why is it that the private schools have a better performance than the public schools?
Well, to me, first of all, I think is important to understand that the theory, is not applicable to all private schools and to all public schools. There's some public schools.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some public schools. First of all, when you mean public schools, are you talking about secondary schools or universities?
I mean,
All
since
of
it's
them.
WAEC,
Okay,
let's just
secondary schools.
let's focus on the
Okay,
secondary schools
first
for
of
now,
all, I
and
know-
even the basic schools, because they're all
First of all,
formative.
first of all, I know for a fact that there are some government schools, right, that are top tier. Yeah, and I also know that there are some private schools, that are in that position as well. So it's not really what's the right word? It's not really a general theory.
So you don't feel that there is a huge gap between private schools
No,
and
there
public
is.
schools? Okay.
There is. You made a comment that private schools are always better than public
No, I
schools.
said they perform better, because even in this analysis, or even with the statistics, the private schools did far better in this year's WAEC
So
than the public schools.
if there's a list of students, let's say the list of the best 30 or best 50, you will find students from public schools there.
They will, but if you look at that list, majority of them are from the private schools.
Yeah, I
That's
agree
what they're
with
trying
you.
to say.
I agree with you, but what I'm just trying to tell you, is that that's not the accepted norm.
It's not the accepted norm, but if you're going to look at it holistically, you realize that private schools is doing better than government schools.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Now, the issues that you asked me about the issues.
What could be, why
Now,
could be,
Yeah, I feel that one of the things is, first of all, you look at bureaucracy, right? You look at bureaucracy.
Bureaucracies?
Yeah, issues of bureaucracy. In private school, if you're in a private school, if you're not performing, or if there are issues with the way you handle your students, you can be sacked
True.
instantly. But that's not the same in government school. There are procedures in sacking the government staff. Do you understand me? And there are procedures in even down to the way you handle punishment. You don't just suspend the government staff. There are procedures to it. You understand me? So the whole idea of invincibility, most times, are one of the issues that affects educations in the public sector.
Mm.
Now, when you look at the private sector, you have to be on your toes. You can't give the owner or the owner's bullshit. You can't. You be disciplined instantly.
They'll dictate the pace.
You know,
Mm.
down from reduction in salaries, to other measures of punishment. When it comes to government, it's the bureaucrats are a bit slow in enforcing discipline amongst the teachers, right? And then you also look at maintenance, poor staff maintenance. You understand? Poor staff welfare. They look at infrastructures. There's some schools and some public schools, that their environment is not really palatable to learning. You have leaky roof, you have fallen ceilings, you have debts, all over the environment. You understand me? And they're not giving proper attention.
I mean, I think in one of the papers that they wrote, is it the English paper? Students were kept behind till like 8 p.m. and they had to write their exams in dim, terribly late rooms and all that.
Yeah, there is.
I don't want to say
schools-
candle.
I saw it. Some schools.
Yes.
So
Some were even using torchlights.
you could see that these are the issues that ensured that, or these are what students who attend public schools, are handicapped. This is why they're handicapped. This is why it seems that they are far behind. But nevertheless, I still believe that there are some of them, some schools, some students, who have determined to rise beyond the challenges imposed on them by what they cannot control. You understand me? So that's my take. These factors, these indices are what has prompted the private institutions or private schools to fare better than the public schools. To me, I think the main problem is bureaucracy. Slow to action, slow to take decisions, and all that.
Bureaucracies, we'll come to that. Hold that thought, we'll come to that. But before that, let's look at brain drain. Now, most students, they don't really care much about WAEC or Nigerian education system because they know when I'm done, I will be taken out of the country to school. So even if my results are bad, we have substitute exams I can take over there that I can enter into any schools over there. But if you know that, look, if your WAEC result is bad, you have to wait and write, where I'm from, we have to, how do you call that one? If your WAEC is bad, the next paper you have to write NECO. If you still don't do well, you know that you spend at least 1 year or 2 years at home until you get your papers right. But the privileged ones, whether it's bad or good, they know that they can be flown outside for education. What is that? Yeah, you can be taken outside. If your work result is bad, you can be taken anywhere to school to further your education, and it happens.
It depends on the family one comes from.
You know what I'm saying? It depends though, but like, we still have brain drain, especially in our educational system. Do you think that is also contributing majorly to the failing in our educational system?
Well, when I look at brain drain, to me, I feel the major cause of brain drain is when the people, who have the intellectual capacity, because you have to have a brain first for it to be trained. No, it's true now. The people, what the West wants, or the kind of persons that attract, are people who have what it takes to maintain the system. You understand? They don't lobby nincompoops and hooligans. They don't.
No, but like as long as you have the means to afford the education, if they feel like you did not pass these papers, whatever, they can give you substitute exam.
You don't understand me. What I'm saying is, we're not talking about brain drain. We're not talking about resource drain.
Okay.
Resource drain is different from brain drain. If the purpose of
to go to school, I'm not talking about to be employed over there. Go to school.
I'm coming.
Okay.
There are people that move to the West, acquire education in the West because they want an opportunity to work and remain there.
Okay. Yeah.
That's one.
Yeah.
Now, there's this other sect you're talking about. You understand that, goes into the West as a result of not having complete papers. They just want to go to school, so they were able to make it here, so that's resource drain.
Okay.
You understand me? That's resource drain because whatever they do there, their productivity there will still be hinged on their families'
resources
and resources, right? And it's very different from one who goes in there, offering your brain in exchange for the opportunity to stay there and build a life.
Okay.
You understand me? So I think it's important that we have that distinction. Now, to me, I feel that anyone who can't make his papers, who doesn't make his papers, it's not necessarily as a result of okay, we are talking in the context of privileged families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just privileged families. I mean, we do have scholarship schemes. But okay, no, yeah. Even the scholarship schemes,
You need to be intellectually savvy to
be able
earn a scholarship.
Yeah, but anyway, we're on national radio, so I can't say something, but I don't want to put. But even if it's scholarship, sometimes it's handpicked. I mean, you know that. You should know that.
No,
You should know that.
No, I can't totally, remove that fact. From the
Okay.
question. But
Yeah.
I can tell you for free that when it comes to scholarships, I can tell you for free.
Yeah, you need to have something out there.
There must be something. It
Yeah.
can't be totally empty.
It's
No,
true.
you can't be totally, when it comes to scholarship, despite the fact that maybe people make a few calls to ensure,
Sure, yeah.
but you need
But
to,
it's
there needs
not-
to be
it's not that
something.
much,
It needs to
yeah.
be built on something.
Mm.
You understand? The opportunities are not given for like that, are not given to, dunderheads. No, I'm being
Realistic.
I'm being realistic.
I feel you.
Yes,
All right,
yes,
so
yes.
let's now come back to quickly so that we can round up. What can be done? What should be done? We can't keep complaining all the time without proffering solutions. Solutions is the reason why you're in the studio today. Like I said, you are an educationist, and obviously, you don't want to impact knowledge to a dead land. You want to make sure that whatever knowledge you're impacting is going to be well received and is going to help develop the nation, which is your passion for everything. So what can be done about this?
Well, to me, I believe that I'm trying to watch my
Words?
So it's really like I'm taking a side. Yeah, but I believe that there are certain reforms, there are certain opportunities that have been given to the students of this generation that I believe that they should take advantage of. One of the issues we've had, in our educational system is lack of resources, especially from those coming from not so privileged families. But however, recently there's been a provision, where one can be able to, go through school, through a process known as NELFund, where the government funds your education, and then maybe when you're stable, you can be able to repay with no interest at all. So to me, I think that should serve as a motivation, and I think that's one of the steps that we have taken as a society to get back our educational process on track. Then we also look at maintenance of our institutions, which is, when I mean maintenance of institutions, I'm also including teachers' welfare. You understand? I feel that adequate compensation should be given to the teachers for their troubles, and to motivate the teachers to be more diligent in their duties to the students. Then also have to look at a situation or a model, where the length of time in bureaucratic processes should be reduced. Because like I said, bureaucracy is one of the issues we're having. The long time it takes to discipline an errant teacher, is an issue. And also when you look at the whole concept of a government job, sometimes people test the system, to show capacity, to show that they have somebody somewhere that's, helps them get a job or two, so they act invincible, believing that they can be taught. So I believe that there should be checkmate mechanisms, right? Where the government should set up, people that the people that they can actually do that. The supervisors for education should be able to have the capacity to fire an errant teacher at will, or to discipline an errant teacher at will, without the whole long process. I believe that will serve as a reinforcement theory to ensure that these teachers, stay on track. Then also, despite the fact that we have said that the internet has made the world a global village where the attitudes and behavioral patterns of other innate characters are not precise to the location of these kids. I believe that there should be some sort of regulation, you understand, on these kids. What they have access to, they should be watched, they should be monitored, to avoid exposure to this character, so they don't influence their opinion on life. They don't see that this is the way it should be, you understand. And also there should be a crackdown, on social deviance, especially those of them involved in fraud. They should not be seen as part of the norm. There should not be that character.
You should not be
seen.
rewarded.
No, they shouldn't be.
Mm.
It shouldn't be acceptable.
Mm.
We shouldn't learn to accept it as a society.
Yeah.
You know, after all, money and money. No, there should be a difference between
Good money.
good money
and
and
bad
illegal money.
Mm.
You understand? That way, yeah, that way. I mean, they should see that. This kid should be able to see that if you commit the crime, you do the time.
Exactly.
There's a punishment, a strict punishment for things like this. And I believe that the police and other criminal security agencies,
Yes.
security agencies should, you know, prompt their efforts in ensuring that they tackle, you know, this issue squarely to avoid it having a negative impact on these kids.
On these kids. And finally, what do you have to say to these kids as well? I mean, we've listed all the things that could go wrong if they're not led down the right path. About the kids themselves, if they're listening to you right now, if you have a younger one, a younger brother, a younger sister listening to you right now, what advice would you give to them in 15 seconds before?
Well, I would say that the only advice I can give is that they should not be influenced by the success, you know, of these funny characters. Yeah, the success is flimsy. It won't last. It's ephemeral. It won't last. You understand? It will fade away with time. But this success that lasts with time, the Dangotes, the Tony Elumelu and all that, you could see that their success was a painstaking process. It took years, it took time for them to build themselves to the capacity where they can be able to enjoy their wealth in abundance. Dangote recently resigned as the CEO of Dangote Group.
And chairman as well.
Yeah, you know the amount of comfortability he must have attained for him to willingly resign. Yeah, he's also sure that his group, his company, is in good hands. You understand? Capable hands for him to willingly step down. So you could see that it was a process, you know, and Dangote at every point in time is always looking for ways to increase his revenue. That's why Bonner said Dangote is still find money. So basically, they should trust the process. It's a continuous process, and they should trust the process that if they are consistent in doing the right thing, eventually they would have success from it, and they will be able to, you know, have the splendor that they so desire. So just be consistent, keep on doing the right thing, keep on going down the right path, and with time, God Almighty will reward your efforts.
Be consistent, keep doing the right thing, and with time, God Himself will reward your efforts. Samuel, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you so much. It's been a very eye-opening, educative, and also fun segment today. So thank you for making the time. Hopefully, we'll have you in the studio more times.
Like I said, I'm always eager to contribute my quota to national level.
Definitely. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And as for our kiddies, look, now this is not Antonia Asable. This is Miss Asable talking to you, right? School is cool. Whoever says school is not cool is lying to you. Okay, look out for some cool influencers to look up to. I don't want to mention names. I don't want to. But look, imagine yourself as the kind of person you want to grow up to be. You don't want to make the money and not be able to spend it. You don't want to make the money and at the end of the day, you lose it all because of one silly mistake. Also, education is the way forward. It will look silly and funny that you have all the money, but nobody respects you because you cannot speak properly, you do not know how to carry yourself, or you cannot even contribute to intelligent conversations. I mean, picture that. How does that even sound to you? Exactly. You don't want to be that person. Again, school is cool. And as for our parents, as we reflect on the challenges and opportunities in Nigeria's education sector, one thing is clear. Investing in education is investing in the nation's future and in your children's future as well. So please, let's take out the time and resources and invest in these children's future. My name is Antonia Asabil, and this has been The Economy on Wish 99.5 FM. My guest today was Woji Samuel, and he is an educationist. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't go anywhere. Up next is The Parliament with Crystal Mainman.